Welcome back to another episode of the Juan Podcast. This is take number 2. My name is Juan. I am your host, and I water my lawn during rainy days like this to piss my neighbors off. Today we have a very special guest with us, my Canadian brother from another mother, Thompson from the Strange Brew Podcast, and we also have Strange Juan, so make sure to check that shit out. What the fuck is up, bro?
What's going on? They call me Tomcat, a.k.a. Tom Thompson, a.k.a. the Reptilian, because that is my new hip-hop name I discovered. Because I keep getting banned from TikTok now. I'm shadow banned. So I have almost 12,000 followers because I just talk shit on TikTok. And there's a lot of clips from strange ones on there also that people are enjoying and stuff, because I'll splice the clips from our little YouTube episodes, and was getting a lot of attention until I started talking shit about Trudeau and posting Charlie Chaplin's speech video. So I think they thought that Charlie Chaplin was a Nazi, and so they tried to take down the video twice, and then I blanked out his armband and they let me post it, but then it was like I was getting shadow banned, which it won't go on the main page. Only the people that follow you can actually see your shit.
Yeah, and this just comes again to George Orwell's 1980. Did you see that they took down Trump's video? He was talking. He was doing a rally, and they took it down because he was talking about censorship.
Of course, that's
YouTube.
all they're doing.
Right. So, and by the way, I was gonna mention in the first take, I was just so hyped to get started that I didn't even fucking record. Have you seen that? So I bit the bullet, bro. I bit the bullet. I listened to you, and I got fucking Netflix again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Have you seen the show Don't Fuck with Cats?
I know of it. Isn't it about that dude that Luca Magnotta?
Yes.
Luca Magnotta's in it. I haven't watched it yet because I don't know when to watch it. My girlfriend loves cats, so.
So it's a pretty much. I don't want to spoil it, but
is it based just on Luca Magnotta then?
Yes, but the dude mailed body parts to Trudeau one time.
Actually, to Justin or his father? I guess
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
No, it would have been Justin.
Is it a junior and senior kind of thing going on?
No. One's name is Pierre, and he was a massive racist and tried to abolish the Indian Act. So tried to take away the natives' fucking rights and stuff.
And they keep finding buried kids under schools and shit up there. What the fuck is going on with that, bro?
Yeah, it'll probably start happening in the States, but Canada was a big thing when it came to the residential schools, which I want to cover this on its own on a full-on topic, maybe even with you or something like that. I'm sure if me and Billy did it would just be very sad. But it's people and I explained this to you on the one episode of Strange Ones, is essentially they're indoctrinating indigenous people to be what the Catholic Church or the Christians wanted them to be. There's a lot of Catholics, but there probably was a gaggle of Christians doing this shit too. But it's pretty much just indoctrinating them to whip them, beat them, not give a shit about them. If they speak their native tongue, then you whip them. And a lot of them were dying because of things like tuberculosis and diseases and stuff like that. But then you got kind of the conspiracy side of it, which who knows, maybe they're being used for adrenochrome, which would be crazy. But there's thousands of bodies being found, and the indigenous people have been saying for years. I heard that thunder, man. It's getting fucking spicy out there.
It's getting hairy over here.
And that they've wanted them to dig up these schools for so long because yes, a lot of them died from disease, but a lot of them could die from abuse and rape and amongst other things. So, and the town I used to, the city near Toronto, about an hour away from Toronto for all the people that are Americans. There's the city Brantford had one of the worst residential schools in all of Canada. And that's where I used to live till I got out of there and decided to move more out into the country because fuck the city. And so that's really bad. I was going to do a little TikTok about it and see if I get banned for that, since I started the new Reptilian TikTok, my Strange Brew Podcast one. But I want to do one kind of explaining how bad some of the tales were that came from these residential schools, especially in Brantford, because I found a shitload of survivors that came out and talked about it, and it's fucking bad.
Yeah, that they hated those kids so much they just fucking wanted to kill them. So
use their blood.
So Yeah, and I wanted to bring up before we get into the Illuminati card game, which is very
Yeah.
interesting for those that don't know about it. I wanted to bring this up, dude, because I sent you that video yesterday, an occult audio book, and I was listening
Yes,
to it
I
while I was.
saw it. It looks very long, but I
It's very
saw it.
long, but it has a lot of weird shit, right? It's
Maybe I'll
obviously
listen to
occult.
it before bed. Let it brainwash me a little bit.
So, and the book that we're talking about, let me bring it up here. It talks about the astral planes and the scenery there, and it really dives into a different aspect of obviously mainstream. And we've talked about the Nordics and Christianization
Yes.
when they were being taken over, but
Yes, indeed.
obviously back then, so it's called the astral plane, it's scenery, inhabitants, and phenomena. So, and it
Phenomenon.
was written in I forgot the year it was written in. Anyways, it's by CW Leadbeater is this guy's
Lead better, motherfucker.
Leadbetter, same shit. Anyways, it was written in I don't know when, some time ago, and it talks about again the astral planes and how the way we view death and the energy that you bring forth when you're mourning somebody's death is actually a bad thing because you're making it harder for their spirit to be able to continue into the afterlife. And actually,
Makes sense.
the way that what obviously as Christians, when you portray the afterlife is you go to heaven and all this shit, and apparently that's all wrong. It's different, and the
Yeah.
actual adventure begins once you die. And and that's a fucked up way to putting it, because I've heard the theory that in order to break out of the matrix you have to commit suicide. I don't know if that was you who told me or somebody fucking told me that, which is pretty fucked up.
No, I just have the view on like suicide is that you choose to come here and you can choose when to leave. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, and a lot of fucking religious people will be like, "Oh
But
no," but it's just I just have that belief that you chose to come here. That was
so
your choice to come to this third density reality, because supposedly this is one of the hardest places to reincarnate, is on this
yes.
fucking wackety do earth that we live on.
So when it comes to and that also was touched upon in that book, when it comes to reincarnation, right now me and you are probably on a different spiritual wavelength and a different vibrational frequency than the regular person, such as my dad
Yeah,
that died
I
four
would think
times
so.
and didn't see shit, right?
Yeah.
So the way that we can come about, even if we don't attain that spiritual consciousness or that vibrational consciousness on this lifetime, the reason that we're always striving and looking for answers is because we on our previous life we were already on that journey, and that person, whoever it was, did some of the work for us. So that's
Yeah.
why we're on this level in this lifetime. And speaking of exiting the game, I started watching the Jumanji series.
Have you
I
never
watched
seen
the
it before?
Yeah, I had, but I hadn't seen the newer one. So I watched the original one, the 94, I believe, or 96, was
Yes, with
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. He was murdered by the Illuminati.
Yes, and then I watched Zathura's A Galaxy Adventure,
Oh,
something like
weird.
that.
Yeah, that one's not bad. It's kind of based on the same shit,
Yeah.
technically.
And then I watched the first 2017 one with Kevin Hart, and it's the same shit. Right now, it's a video game, and you're able
Yeah.
to exit. If you
You gotta
die, they have
relate to
three.
the new kids. They don't play board games.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting that these elites, though we've talked about this before, the Matrix, all these movies that they plant little seeds, right, of truth. And in the book again, it talks about that. It talks about what is that? What's on the menu today?
Legal marijuana. Just happens to
Fucking
my birthday.
Canadians, eh? So in that book, the occult book, they talk also about the seeds of truth when it comes to these different legends of the boogeymen, right? We've talked
Yeah.
about the Wendigo, we've talked about the Skinwalker, we've talked about all
Yes.
this shit. And again, it's just seeds that are planted throughout generations that have things to do. But the thing is that their lower vibrational frequency, and it talked about too when you're doing a Ouija board or a
Yeah.
seance and stuff like that, you're actually bringing about the lower vibrational, the bad energy of whatever it is that you're trying to contact, and it'll disguise itself
Yeah,
as
that's
it
Ouija
being.
board shit too. Like
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I've said to Juan over many podcasts that I fucked around with the Ouija board a lot when I was a kid. And that you got to be careful with kind of messing with that stuff, because you never know who's on the other end of it, sincerely, because you can't see it. And when I started getting older and into this alien shit, I started to realize that maybe I might not be talking to something that is dead. I could be talking to something that's alive on a different frequency.
Yes.
I've had the Ouija board tell me the craziest shit in the world. Like my mom's a reptilian and my real mother is in the astral world and stuff like that. And I love my mother, but my mother is she does not want to believe anything against the narrative. And it's kind of crazy. I got in a big argument. She lives like 4 hours away now, but I got into a huge argument with her about the way the world's going, and she's got both vaccines. And I said, something better not happen to you and dad, because you guys both got stupidly, because they work in healthcare, both got pressure to do it. And she's a nurse, so she just thinks I think she's indoctrinated and brainwashed by the system of like medicine.
They flip flop. Like I posted this article about Fauci saying that now you don't need the Delta variant booster because it's not effective, right? Or it's not needed. So I wanted to bring up when it comes to the elites believing in the occult, because we can't deny the fact that the occult is real, and if you want to dive into that or not, and I dive into it I tread very lightly, because a lot of these things.
Why do you tread lightly, bro?
There's different paths, and you know about this shit, right? There's different paths to it.
Right hand, left hand, and masturbating hand.
So it says Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey sent his hair to rapper Azalea Banks to make magical necklace to protect him from ISIS.
Why would he think ISIS is gonna go and attack him? He's just a fucking rich ass motherfucker.
Who says it has to be ISIS though? Who says that? Who says it's got to be the terrorist organization ISIS? Because
you think that they're trying to go after him? Be like, you're saying you're not letting Trump do Twitters, and all the fucking ISIS is like, we like Trump, fuck, because like as weird as it is, a lot of people like Trump all around the world.
It could be something else though, because ISIS is one of the Egyptian goddesses, right?
She's ISIS.
So she's the goddess of fertility, known as the goddess of motherhood, magic, death, healing, and rebirth. And she was the sister of Osiris, which is one of the oldest Egyptian gods, and then later on became his wife. That's kind of
that's
weird.
like a moral techniques law. He says you replace the beautiful image of Isis and replace it with an anorexic white bitch. Just because image of beauty with her, and then everything gets squandered, and it's like, you know what? No, natural looking thick women, because that's what they call them nowadays, thick, even though that's just being healthy. You know, because he said he has another line in that song. This is a song by Moral Technique called "Natural Beauty," and he says something about how they make you think you're a manatee in this neurocentric insanity, and like it's because if you're healthy, they make you feel like you're a manatee, even though.
Yeah,
they want to corrupt that image.
I'm not fat shaming anybody or anything like that. I'm not about that. But if you're unhealthy, you're unhealthy, right?
Yes, and you could be skinny and unhealthy though.
I understand being comfortable with your self-image. That's cool, right?
If you're over 280, 300, yeah, you need to go to the gym.
Yeah, you have to come to the term with the facts that you are being unhealthy, and you could die from fucking diabetes or something else. So
diabetes,
diabetic fucks. So
diabetes.
What were we gonna get to? Yeah, so the occult book is a very interesting listen.
Well, you're talking about fucking Jack Dorsey, that fucking dickhole.
Yeah, so with these elites, they're obviously into the occult, and they put out movies and do all these things. Even like with Jumanji, it hints at the parallel universes, parallel dimensions, and time travel, right? Because after the movie's done, he sees the kids that were with them, and then diving into the video game, and the newer. I have the last one, the 2019 with Kevin Hart. I have to watch that one.
They're just funny. They're just fucking stupid movies, like every other movie. But.
So let's get into the Illuminati card game, which is very interesting.
So for all the people that don't know, I was talking to Juan before this, and this shit's put on TikTok a lot of people even just using the internet images. I don't even know where the fuck I bought this or where I bought it or when I bought it, but I've had it for probably 2-3 years. It's in great condition. So it's called the Illuminati, the game of conspiracy.
I'm going to look up its history real quick, but yeah, it's the cards.
Yeah, look up the history, and then we'll start going through some of the cards.
So it was inspired. It was a card game made by Steve Jackson Games, and it was inspired by a 1975 book, The Illuminatus Trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea. And it's very weird because, is this even the right card game? Hold on, I think I'm on the wrong.
I think there's different versions of it.
Anyways, there's a bunch of there's one.
Yeah, I have. Look, it says right here, make your conspiracy bigger. And there's mine's the original Illuminati game of conspiracy.
Is it
But
94? Is that the one that you have, the 94 one?
I'm pretty sure
Anyways, it shows a bunch
it's
of
made by that Steve Jackson dude. That's for sure.
it shows a bunch of disturbingly accurate descriptions and of events that are happening right now. And yeah,
Yeah,
maybe you
this is
could
where you
say
can get
some of
other
it.
ones. Mutual Assurance Distraction. That's one of the card games you can get. And then you can also get Illuminati Y2K, Illuminati Bavarian Fire Drill. You got to be pretty in depth and know what the fuck this is to create more than one game. What the fuck? Yeah,
But
there's like
you've talked
zombie
about
dice
this.
and shit.
You've talked, yeah, they have Cthulhu and shit there. You've talked about this before, Tom, and I like the way
Yeah.
that you break it down as far as the Greys and the reptilians and how it was that the reptilians created the Greys.
Yeah, and they just wanted them to be like essentially like robot creatures. So like the whole way they put it is like if you're gonna mess with a different society, reality, world, fucking dimension, you have to do it carefully. And that's even drip fed in things like Star Trek, where this is why people think the aliens haven't shown up yet, other than Bast in like historical times. Like you have that writer, Eric von Deakin or Dakin or whatever, the German dude
Danica.
he's always, I have one of the Chariots of the Gods book, and him, like, he's like, they've been here before. There's enough proof that they've been here in ancient times, and they will be back again. So who knows when? But supposedly they're not supposed to mess with a race of beings that are in development, so to speak. But because supposedly the reptilians are constantly messing with us and causing that negative energy vibration, you have the news media, which broadcasts to at least it's getting fewer and fewer, but at least 60 to 80% of the world is watching the news, maybe a little more than that. And you're constantly in this narrative of negativity and put you in a negative space because the reptilians are hijacking our dimension. But yet the Palladians and all these other races don't want to do anything because they're not supposed to almost. But how the reptilians correspond and like work is almost like using like touching like something radioactive. You got to put your hands in those gloves to touch it. You know what I mean? And then if you get too close to it, you could have something happen. So they develop the Greys to pretty much use as puppets and do their bidding and they go and grab the abductions and like grab the humans for whatever fucking dissecting purposes they want to use or probe them up the asshole. But it's just it is the fact that they're hijacking our reality, and the Greys are meant to be an interface, literally like an interface, and that's why you most times you see on movies, television, the Roswell event, everyone that talks about fucking aliens knows of the aliens with the big eyes and the round head. It's because of that.
And it's interesting that you bring up Eric von Daniken because I actually just got done today listening to a 2.5 hour lecture that he had on YouTube.
Yeah, he's
And-
interesting. I listened. I read the Chariot of the Gods like years ago. I got to reread it actually.
And he talks about all of that, about how, yeah, man did the dirty work for the gods or the ancient astronauts, whatever it is. They did build the pyramids, but it was under the guidance of these other entities or beings or whatever it is. And you can't deny the fact that there's areas in South America where there are complexes of 60 plus pyramids that are nowhere near a water source, nowhere near anything. And it's like, why would you build that? For who would you build that? And again, with the Egyptian narrative of these were ancient tombs for who? For pharaohs. There was never bodies found in there, and there are corridors and tunnels and all sorts of shit that's in there that we don't even know why it's there. You have ancient accounts of Herodotus who talked about like a lake under the Great Pyramid. And when you go down there, there was a sarcophagus in the water. And they did find a sarcophagus and an underground creek almost with clear water. And these are accounts that go way, way back in time. And it's like, what was this built for? I believe, just as everybody, just as a lot of people, that they were built as some sort of network, right? To be able to, I don't know, connect themselves to this
Or
this
you think they're trying to connect to like, because you know how there's all these tunnels and stuff, right? Do you think they were trying to connect, or they were the people that are running it, whereas the reptilians? Because you have the reptilians from Dracus Lacanus, which is a Draco star system, which is inside the Orion's belt, and then but the thing is with the Greys too. just to mention that is when you get into the whole gray alien stuff, some of them come from Zeta Reticuli, which is supposed to be, I don't know if that's where the reptilians got the DNA to harvest the robotic grays, but just as like there's different species of everything, there is like a robotic gray that they can't mate. They do it asexually and stuff like that. But there's supposed to be ones, the tall whites, that may be able to, it goes so fucking deep that maybe these Egyptians had connections to the reptilians that are in Hollow Earth, or at least if not, there's not hollow inside the caverns of the Earth, because there's so much evidence of these weird deep tunnels and civilizations that lived underground, and for all we know, they could be a civilization of reptiles or some shit like that, because the ones in Hollow Earth are supposed to be, they don't like us, but they're not trying to wipe us out either.
So you do know why whenever you see pictures of the pyramids, why there's never anything around them. It's because there's so many catacombs and tunnels underneath there that if they were to build anything on top of there, it would collapse into the ground, because they don't, and it's just cave and miles and miles and miles of tunnels of this just huge complex.
Yeah.
And 85% of Egypt is still underneath the sand in the limestone that's out there. So who the fuck knows what's out there?
Some of these, man, these Illuminati cards.
So read some of those, dude.
I want to play this game. We'll probably do it for the Patreon. Me and Billy and maybe his buddy Alex will try to play it on the Patreon sometime eventually when we start filming more stuff, which could be fucking next year for all I know. But we're eventually going to do this for sure. And maybe we'll mention it on when we record, because the shit's fucking weird.
So read some of those.
So this one's hilarious. It's called Gun Lobby. I'll just show you the images on the camera. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, you want to know what it says? It says normal resistance against any liberal, communist, or weird group.
Did you see what's going on right now in Cuba, dude?
What now? Because I know there's they killed the motherfucker in Haiti. And they killed the leader in Haiti because he didn't want to vaccinate his people.
Wait a minute, what?
Supposedly. Yeah, that they said that what was it? That he fucking killed himself or some shit, or he died of a heart attack. I can't remember exactly now because I've had a glass of wine and I blazed a little bit. But the fact that the Haiti leader died, and then the conspiracy goes that is because
I did see that.
Yeah, the conspiracy goes now because he didn't want to vaccinate his people, and he was not exposing stuff, but it goes fucking deep. I can't remember what the fuck I was reading about it. You're reading up on it?
So it says here, Haiti's president is dead, but why? Let me hold on, give me one second. But why did it take a hit squad of 28? The assassins had no escape plan, and rumors circulate that they were scapegoats for an outlandish plot by Jovenel Moise's enemies. And yeah, apparently there is a conspiracy theory saying that he was assassinated, but again, how much, and we've talked about this on your show, there are so many things that have happened throughout history that we're not able to confirm. Such as things that happen over in the Middle East, if they are actually to bomb one of our troops or not, we're not able to confirm that.
Like false flags and stuff like that. And I believe highly that 9/11 was a false flag. And
even Joe Biden the other day was like, "Hey, people don't want to take the vaccine. Why? Because the government has." Again, the Tuskegee experiment has experimented on its own people before. And that's just one. The Bay of Pigs and all this shit that has happened that has made, and people will still blindly follow the government. Even
I'll never understand that.
This is history. And they have tested on their people. So why is it out of the norm to say that there is some nefarious intent or motive behind the vaccinations and everything else? And John McAfee,
why are they trying to push? Yeah, he just got fucking murdered.
They don't give a fuck. They just hang you and they say, "Oh yeah, he suicided himself." It's like, wait a minute, what?
He admitted I know. He said he wasn't going to do it, and then it's like he did it. Why would you do that? And be like, no, if I die, just remember that I didn't do it. And then he dies.
But people eat this shit up, and I say defund the media, not the police, because the media is the issue here. Where they come out with shit like John's wife came out and posted something saying that they were announcing their death even before they even knew about it. So what's up with that? You know,
they're just trying to push this shit, and it's like starting to bother me, especially like I don't know, like Billy's more of a skeptical character in general, and he's sick of hearing it, which I understand. But me and him are butting heads, having arguments and stuff. And he was mad at me because I made a TikTok how sports is a distraction, and that when you go to Rome back in the day, the Roman Empire, they would be poor outside the Colosseum, but then when people would still pay to go see the gladiators fight the lions, and it was a distraction from the political stuff that was going on. He didn't like that I said that sports players get paid too much money to push a stick around with a ball or a hockey puck.
Billy got mad because you said that?
Yeah, he's almost, and I was like, oh, it's my opinion, bro. Opinions, man. So it's just that
you're not allowed to have one of those anymore.
I know, and he's getting annoyed at all the stuff that's going on. But me and him are even butting heads over the conspiracy side of stuff, and I'm like, man, it's not even conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory if it keeps coming true.
Well, for the longest time, when Trump was talking about it came from Wuhan, it came from the Chinese, it was Wuhan.
Conspiracy nutbag,
you
fucking
racist. That's a conspiracy. This and that, and then what? It turns out that it was true. That maybe perhaps it did come out of the Wuhan coronavirus.
Well, that's what we're having an election very soon in Canada, and they're trying to push it. First, they're trying to halt it, which I made a video about because I was like, why are they halting the election? This is sketchy as fuck. And they were going to halt it, and now it's even sketchier too to me that they're trying to push it for September, and people don't even know what's going on. And this is elections coming up out of nowhere, which is fucked. And the conservative side.
What do you mean it's coming up out of nowhere? Like,
well, they were supposed to. I thought it was supposed to be in like November or some shit, but they were halting and saying not to like next fall because of the pandemic. They're like, oh, we're not going to let you vote because of the pandemic, and they were talking about, well, you can't vote unless you're vaccinated, and they're saying like, oh yeah, we can't do the election because of the scary pandemic that's barely killing anyone that is under the age of 80, and it's just like, and then now they're pushing all of a sudden. It's like, oh no, we need another election, and then meanwhile, Justin Trudeau has admitted live 2 years ago, if people fucking don't forget about this shit, but he admitted, he's like, why would the media slander the liberals? We pay them $600 million a year or some shit. And he's being so smug about it and saying, you don't get ads like this without greasing the polls a little bit. And he's like pretty much admitting that he owns the media. So they never slander. Like, at least you guys got Fox News that goes against the other side and all that stuff. And people like Tucker Carlson. But like, our system is fucked now because he owns everything. So all these people sitting at home like, yeah, he's so good. He's so sad about the natives dying when he doesn't give two shits. He wouldn't give them clean drinking water for years, and now he fucking cares. So it's so slanders, and all of a sudden this election happens, and they're trying to bash Aaron O'Toole, which I don't really like him. There's a guy named Pierre, I can't remember pronounce his last name, but he's extremely.
Can you imagine?
I know it's starts with a P. It's something fucking really French, but he's been standing out in like how you have Congress, we have like Parliament, and they decide on certain rules and legislation. Like they were trying to pass that bill C10, which you can censor everything on TikTok, on Twitter, on Facebook, like everything. If you think someone's an extremist, then you can report them and stuff. And they're trying to push all this shit constantly. So then fucking the bill doesn't get passed because the conservatives don't want this like censorship. And then Justin Trudeau's on his campaign now that he's doing, because they want this election, saying like, we can't pass any of these legislations that we want to pass because the conservatives are going against it. And that's his shit, even though everyone knows he's lying. And then I was going to get to that. He's like, you can't, this Aaron O'Toole guy is talking about how Justin Trudeau knows that there was some connection with our health person, the same as yours, Fauci. We had this chick named whatever Yam. Her last name's Yam or something. Yeah. She's some Chinese chick that people think she's a Chinese spy because there's conspiracies about that. And she has connections to a lab in Winnipeg that supposedly knew about this virus, and they fucking released it. And then so Parliament is the top dog, and they want Justin Trudeau to give up the information that he has on the Wuhan lab connection to the Winnipeg lab, and he won't give it out. Fuck? And that's against fucking Parliament code, against all these laws. He's breaking laws as a prime minister, not giving up this information.
They write the laws. Why would they give a fuck? You know,
well, that's what I'm saying. And he's not giving up any of this stuff. It's like fucking mind blowing. I was like, holy fuck, man.
And people don't realize that. People just, oh yeah, our government is good. They're here to help. Well, what did who was it? The
seven deadly sins.
No
gluttony. Don't fucking eat too much. Don't fuck your neighbor's wife.
No, hold on. So Ronald Reagan, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are "I'm from the
From the
government and I'm here
I'm
to
here to
help."
help. Yeah.
So fucking Ronald Reagan
He was an actor
said that
piece of
shit.
shit. He's the one that flooded the ghettos with crack.
But here's the thing, dude. Okay, he was a piece of shit, but why? Because they're all in the
They're all pieces
same.
of shit.
They all play the same game. They're
Even
all on the
Trump, for
same
all you
team.
fucking Trumpers out there, he's a piece of shit too.
They're all pieces of shit, and this guy that's in office doesn't give a fuck more of a fuck about you than the last guy in there or
No,
the
and
guy
they
before
never
him.
will. The
And they
average
never will.
person is getting shafted. That's what's like. I don't understand after, especially after all this stuff. The government lies to you, wants to lie to you again and again and again and again. Especially if they get convince you for a little bit. But all this leak lab stuff is coming out, and like I hope that this is an awakening. The thing I've been talking about and wanted to happen since I was like 16 is that the mass culture awakes and the mass population wakes up to the things that are going on, and how all these historians, like people like Howard Zinn, have talked about of like, don't trust your government. If your government doesn't care about you, if it did, it wouldn't send soldiers in the quagmires of Vietnam and all these horrible wars that is only for their benefit, not for the citizens' benefit, and it's not going to infringe on your freedoms. Maybe Hitler a bit, but they were fucking funding Hitler. So, speaking of Nazis, also next card.
South American Nazis. Wow.
Is that fucked? Because that's where they
Yeah.
went. They went to Argentina.
Yeah,
And
they went to South America.
in South America, they were fucking Nazi sympathizers.
There are whole villages with that they only speak German, and they have
Yep.
German art and German architecture and all that stuff because again they fled down to South America, or perhaps maybe they went to Agartha and the Hollow Earth. Who the fuck knows?
This one's funny.
I can't read that one. It says science fiction fans. What's that one say?
And it says 2+ on any attempt to control any weird groups. So if someone has like, I gotta learn how to play this because it looks like fucking deep. There's so many fucked up cards.
Yeah,
Sorry
I'm
for
gonna get I'm gonna get a
amatism.
copy of that game. So, what are your thoughts on? And I know we've talked about the Denver airport and all the different conspiracies. And for those
Yeah.
that want to listen to those episodes,
I'm gonna keep
check out
looking through
Strange
them, see if
Ones.
I can find any fucked up ones.
What do you think about the whole? What are they trying to do with this whole disclosure? There's talks about now they finalized that report that the government was supposed to come out with saying that yeah, we don't know what the fuck's happening with these UFOs. What is the whole reasoning behind that, you think? Like
The international communist conspiracy. I'll get to that in a second. I just think that one's funny.
yeah, that obviously with China and
Them,
even the US
everyone
right now.
thinks that they're trying to make Canada like China, and Justin Trudeau's openly said that he admires fucking China and their dictatorship and shit. And I think with the disclosure stuff, it's hard to fucking tell. Like, I think that like you know who Tom DeLonge is?
Yes.
Blink-182.
I'm not his biggest fan, but yeah.
No, they're disinformation agents, and everyone's talking about this like you're giving out the false information. People on TikTok argue constantly about that stuff because my feed, that's what I was saying, for you to get it just for shits and giggles because it doesn't matter. All these apps are watching you anyways. And this one, at least there's some truth. There's truth seekers. There's a lot of videos that are like exposing conspiracy theories and people talking about the government and against the government, like I have done and got myself shadow banned. But I started a new account just because of that. And like I've been posting a bunch of alien stuff, and I posted the trailer for Above Majestic, which is like, even how can you like, I want to trust Corey Good, and he says it so smugly and stuff, but like Corey Good is a guy that claims that he went to the moon and then got regressed.
They made him sign a contract on the moon.
And part of the what I do believe the Nazis had capabilities to reach far off planets, and supposedly they even made it to Mars. And I always love the theory. If this is true or not, I don't know, but I really hope it is, that the Nazis built a swastika shaped base on the moon. I repeat it constantly on a Strange Brew Podcast because if it's true, it's fucking hilarious. And then the funniest part, I think I've told you this too, is like I guess the American government eventually took over this base because they started going out into space. And I think the moon landing was faked because they didn't actually want to show people what the moon actually looked like and what was actually there. And I think Stanley Kubrick has videos of him coming out that when he's dead now, he's been dead for a long time. Before his death, he was coming out saying that he was a part of it, and he was talking about how they did fake the moon landing. But I think it's not because they wanted to beat Russia, because they wanted to not have people know what was actually going on and what was on the moon. But the workers that had to go there after the United States took over, I just find it hilarious that supposedly they felt uncomfortable working in a swastika-shaped base, so they got them to build like walls. They got them to like put up walls, so they make it a square. So they made the base into a square, which I think is fucking hilarious. So they built a Nazi base. It's like a swastika, and then Judy's like they take over, and the Americans are in there, and they're setting up their like little space station stuff.
What's that one movie, Iron Fist or something?
Iron Sky,
Iron
Sky, where that is exactly when they have a fucking swastika shaped base on the moon in that movie. And I just think it's funny. Judy like puts up her hand, she's like, "All right, like I don't mind working up here. I know you guys pay me a lot of money, but can we make it into a square? I really feel uncomfortable. I feel like race is just standing in this building."
And an interesting thing to bring up, speaking about the swastika, as we know, the Nazis were known occultists. They were known to practice occult rituals. They had the Thule Society, and they had a bunch of different things that they had. They had witches, and they were very highly advanced. A lot of people say that they were highly advanced because they had extraterrestrial technology, and that was the whole reason behind World War II to take over that technology. So if I believe that or not, who the fuck knows? But the reason that they're known occultists, they actually that the swastika symbol is actually an Indian symbol, right? From ancient
they reversed
times.
it. It means peace, and then they fucking switch it outside because if you revert something, it changes the meaning.
Exactly, just like everything else, what as above, so below. They take everything and they invert it and they put it upside down because again, they're not that interesting. The reptilians are just there to mimic and copy and pervert.
Well, that's what they say. If you give a reptilian a piece of paper, he can't draw something from the top of his head. And or these archonic type of aliens and stuff like that. But if you draw something on a piece of paper, they can actually manipulate that drawing and make it look different. But they can't draw it themselves, think of an idea off the top of their heads and actually draw it. Is that fucking weird?
And how creepy is it that all these elites, they're starting space travel companies? The guy from Virgin Galactic, they had a successful flight this past weekend, and they have I don't know how many tickets sold already.
I know. How many do they want to pay? And they want them to pay all this fucking money to go to space, and it's like I'm not fucking doing it. Richard Branson's on that shit.
Yeah. How creepy is that they have these elites, which are feminists,
attempt to control any liberal group. Because it's a bra burning feminist picture, which is funny.
It says it's hard to control any liberal group. That's what it says.
3 points on any attempt to control any liberal group.
Interesting. So, yeah. And I found
here's one for all these fuckheads. So we're going through the Illuminati Card Game. So here's another one for all those fucking idiots out there. Oh, shit.
Flat Earthers. I have an episode that's going to be about Flat Earth coming out soon. The one that I did with that one guy. He said I'm an...
David Weiss?
He said I'm in the closet flat earther, which I don't.
Stupid. Yeah, he's on a lot of podcasts, and he tried to get on Strange Brew, but I said no. But I'm interviewing some fucking weirdo tomorrow. Hopefully he doesn't hear this, but Brian Cozier or something like that. I kept getting this email, and it was supposed to be
me too, bro.
And it was the Brian Cozier guy.
Yes, he emailed like 5 times. He's like, hey, though. I'm like, he keeps writing to me. He's like, can you answer back? I'm like, dude.
Weird. It's almost like through a second party with his. I'm getting emails through. It's like, do you want to have this guest on your podcast? He's in a humor.
Is it the outdoors guy?
Yeah, but he also I read that he's and I don't know how this is gonna go tomorrow. Because I might put it on Patreon if I don't like it, just because it's something different people listen to. But I want to put on the main show for people that expect something different. I was reading up and it's like Scientology inspired Brian Cozier, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that fucking religion is weird as shit, bro. Scientology.
Well, that's why I might question him about it and shit and see how it goes. But I don't know. I'm not. I haven't done what you've done, and like you've interviewed a lot of different people for your podcast and a lot of different, almost like Joe Rogan style, where mostly it's me and my buddies talking shit about conspiracies. But I just think it's funny. Like I'm not used to that. I'm like, yeah. So,
have you heard any other podcasts with him on it? Because my biggest pet peeve is when, and I've interviewed a lot of people, but the problem is when they're hard. And I've only had like 1 or 2 hard interviews. that I have to really, it's like pulling teeth, and I really have to dig in. And if I wouldn't have prepared, I would have just fucked everything up. Because a lot of people, what happens is if you don't have questions ready, or if you do have questions ready, they will just answer the question and they don't embellish it, right? So it's like, hey, so what is it you do? Well, I'm an author.
It's like, well, yeah, I'll just put that on Patreon or something, or just delete it in general. But
so
because I'm not preparing at all. You want to come on my show, and I always ask, have you ever listened to the podcast before? Because like when David Weiss wanted on, I was like, yeah, and they kept it like, and I was like, yeah, maybe we'll see. Sounds interesting. And then they're like, no, he's gonna be on. Come on anytime. He'll intrigue the conversation. Blah blah. And I'm like, has he ever listened to the podcast before? And I made this whole thing. I was like, because we did Flat Earth, you should probably listen to that episode first, because we made fun of that shit hard. And I don't think I ever emailed me back. I was like, fuck
and
this.
That's the thing, dude. Like when I tell people, like, hey, listen to Strange Ones, it's fucked up though. What is that? What does that say?
Assume you fuck.
No, back it up a little bit. There you go. Tabloids. Is that Bigfoot and an alien?
Yeah, is that funny? This card game is fucked, man.
So, yeah, and speaking of Bigfoot, Ryan Burns from Hero Paranormal Podcast, one of my good friends, and we talk, and every time I do an episode with him is pretty great. What I don't tobacco and liquor companies, yeah. So
little kid.
What the way he breaks it down as far as when it comes to the Skinwalker and Bigfoot and all these aliens and stuff like that, he pretty much, they're spirits, right? It's occult, and what you're messing with is something that, in order for you to see it, you have to give up a part of your soul pretty much to give to be able to, like, how much are you willing to give, right? I always talk about pacts with demons and whatnot. And what a lot of people don't understand is that demons have power. Every demon has a certain power that it will give to you, but at what cost, right?
Well, I know, and I think that, like, I don't know, demons could be some alien creatures, or they could be a spiritual entity, because there's so many levels of reality that
what do you think Bigfoot is, though? And I know we've covered this a lot, like, as far as when it comes to Bigfoot, like, do you think
I do not think he's an interdimensional being. I think it's possibly
really.
I think he was dropped here maybe from somewhere else, but I don't think that he's like so smart where he's like, all right, now I'm on Bigfoot Earth, and now I come to Earth to get some vegetables. Like, I think that either his species lived longer, his species lived longer than, they were supposed to, or something like that, or he could have been dropped here or made an experiment. There's so many different, like, I more am like, maybe they just kept evolving and somehow they found another one, and we just don't see them because they have to. But I think they're intelligent.
Even Eric Von Daniken, he talks about how, and I've talked about this before, when it comes to the Nephilim, the Elohim, and what they talk about in these ancient scriptures about the giants of back then, the the daughters of men, that they were having relations with them, and even in Enochian literature where it talks about these angels or whatever it is, these entities that you want to talk about, they were having sex with the animals, and they created these chimeras, and they talk about,
have you seen Sweet Tooth yet?
Sweet Tooth? No.
It's that Netflix show that they're
oh yeah,
it's like
yeah,
hybrids and stuff. We finished it. It's a good show. I'm just like, the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, oh, they're like drip feeding this to us because it's gonna happen one day.
They talked about back then, right? It was the top half was man, the other bottom half was a horse. That's a centaur or minotaurs and stuff like that. I think that's where Bigfoot gets caught up in, where it was a chimera of some sorts. They were genetically modifying humans, and as we all know, there's the Denisovans, the Neanderthals. There's a bunch of different subspecies of Homo sapiens, and eventually we're the ones that prevailed. My bad, of sapien. And we were the one that prevailed, and we're here now because we were smarter. We invented fire, we invented language, versus these animals that didn't and couldn't achieve this. So I stick to the theory that Bigfoot is some sort of divine creature of another dimension.
Well, who knows? The natives think that shit too. They're like,
and let's not forget,
some of them are scared of them, and some of them praise him as some god-like creature.
I was listening to, give me 1 second. Let me find his name. I forget his name. Not Tucker Carlson. What the fuck am I saying? You saw that Tucker Carlson was being spied on by the fucking NSA or some shit?
I could see that. He says a lot of shit, and I said I fucking do absolutely hate Fox News, but the fact that he is someone who actually is going against the narrative and talking against the vaccines and the things that you should question,
So I was
he's
listening
actually starting to do it.
to a lecture by Billy Carson, and I don't know if you've ever looked
Don't
into
know
him.
who the fuck Billy Carson is. Who's
So
Billy Carson?
look up his videos because he has a lot of shit. So
Send
he
me his
talks.
videos. I'm too
Yeah,
lazy to
I'll
look
send you
it
the
up.
one that I'm talking about now, which he talks about a fractal reality and the universe and all this stuff. And he talked about pretty much that there's evidence that we ourselves as humans actually come from a different galaxy because you have the Kuiper belt and you have the asteroid belt, and it's pretty much hinting at that two galaxies clashed into one another, and those belts are actually remnants of old planets,
That
and
could be
we
possible.
somehow were planted here through another solar system. I forgot the name that he said, but there was another solar system because solar systems are getting drawn to each other, and they get closer and closer and closer. And there's even pictures of this of galaxies clashing with one another. And our galaxy, our original galaxy, actually clashed with the one that we're here now. And that point where they crashed was actually where Earth is, right? And so and
Is
you
there
can
another solar
contribute.
system coming in too?
Yeah,
There's
you
some
can talk about
crazy theory about
Planet
that shit.
X. You can talk
Yeah.
about
We covered
Zachariah
Planet
Sitchin's
X
work.
on Strange Brew Podcast. For all people that are interested, we went like an hour deep. You could talk about it. There's so many different layers to it. But how and then supposedly there's another solar system that's supposed to come in. I heard that shit in like 2012, but so
Yeah,
who knows if
because
it actually is coming?
and it's got to do with the whole Anunnaki and these gods on Earth that they. But I've talked to you about this before. If they're so
Yeah,
powerful, what the fuck do they need with us, right? Like
yeah.
what could we
We're a
possibly
food
bring to the
source,
table?
bro.
Well,
Just that's all we are.
my friend
Like
Ryan, he said that they're jealous of us because of the arts, right? Because of these arts.
that's
But
not that's
again,
a not a dumb theory because yeah, they're jealous. Well, that's like if you listen to someone like David no Alex Collar. You ever heard of Alex Collar?
no.
You should look up Alex Collar sometime. He has it's on YouTube. You can watch it. His 1994 interview. This shit like
Collier?
Collier, yeah. This changed my mind about a lot of stuff. I watched this one. I don't know. I was like 18, and when I was really getting into David Icke, and it's a long interview, but it's worth listening to. And it's in 1994. We talks about the reptilians, how children were food, how there's a reason why 300 whatever million children go missing a year, how there's underground bases. He talks in depth about what the reptilians are really about, what they want. And he dives into a lot of stuff along that lines too, of like what's really going on and do like that we're used as food generally, so they don't really give a shit about us.
He talks about the
Andromeda,
Andromedans,
the
the
Andromeda
reptilians.
Council, the Andromeda Council is something he believes he has. This is his belief, and obviously he thinks this because he's trying to peddle it so hard. But he does believe that he's in contact with the Andromeda Council, which is a council of alien beings from all these different places that just want peace in the universe and are trying to take out the reptilians. It's a
It's
good
like,
interview. Do you know that alien fucking race song I put out? Like
yeah.
the one where it's all the different alien races and I go in like different voices. He's the one that's talking between my fucking verses.
So it's like, hey, dude, trust me. Oh, what's your source? Me, bro.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. That's why it's
I'm your
always
source.
sketchy, and it's almost like when I was a kid, obviously I was more apt to believe all this stuff and everything, which I still believe in my own narrative of what I believe and have taken from all the shit I've learned about. But when I was a kid, I was definitely more like I thought everything was a UFO. I thought they'd be showing up soon. I was very crazy, you could say.
So here's the thing, dude, and you got to take everything with a grain of salt because these people, like I mentioned earlier, maybe when they talk about this shit, forever in history, when people went against the narrative with the dogma and all that, they were ruled
Yeah,
heretics. They were made fun of. They were outcasted. They were killed. They were burned at the stake. Maybe a lot of them probably do it for fucking attention. Like, what's his Corey Good, right, or whatever the hell his name is.
yeah.
They talked about. It's like, oh,
I like
they
David
made me.
Wilcock though. I just
They
don't
made me
like his
sign.
buddy as much.
They made me sign a contract. They picked me up in some car and it flew to the moon. It's like they couldn't go down the fucking street at some rented office and sign the contract there. And then he talked about that he was some kid that disappeared. I don't know how many years ago, and he was
And
part of
they
some.
regressed his body back.
Yeah, like
But the
okay,
My Lab
maybe
projects. Imagine if he was like, yes, you can say everyone and every person that looks in this shit could be like, oh, it's definitely not real. But imagine if it was. Anything is possible.
confirmation bias, bro. I want it to be. I want it to be
Yeah.
real. I want aliens to be real. I
If
want
I die
Bigfoot to
and
be
that's it,
real.
it would suck, but I won't really know because I'll be dead.
Well, again, and who the fuck knows what happens after you're dead? If you really do go to another dimension, or if you are in some astral plane. That's creepy as shit, dude. But we'll start wrapping it up here,
Yeah, fuck
and
yeah.
yeah, I don't know, dude. I feel that some of these people, maybe there are an antenna to the other side, and they're able to communicate, right, with that like Ashtar Galactic
Yeah.
Command. Have you ever heard of Ashtar Galactic
Yeah,
Command?
me and Billy just did an episode about like we did it. You'll want to tune into that one because it's fucking hilarious. The first one, we did one on sexual alien encounters, and then the next one that's gonna come out is the alien baby hybrid community, which is all these women that think they have babies with aliens, and it's fucked up. That's
Wait,
why we're
what?
kind of arguing with each other because it's just like he was like, I'm sick of fucking all this shit, and I was like, yeah, I understand. And he's like, sports aren't a distraction. I was like,
So
Billy, I'm
people
gonna have to
actually,
cut all this out.
no, you're good. People actually
No, not
believe.
this. Billy's fucking ranting at me.
You want me to cut it out?
No, 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 no. I'm gonna have to cut his audio of that whole fucking episode.
Oh, so wow, I didn't know there was people who actually believed that they're alien, that their babies are aliens. It's almost like those movies that come out where they have the son of Satan or some shit.
Oh yeah, you should listen to it though. There's a lot of fucked up, wacky cases. This guy like believes he's had children with like 10. He has like 10 alien children out there, and he draws. He is like paints his sexual experience with aliens. It'll be up on the Instagram page and the Facebook page if I'm allowed. I finally am not banned from like posting my own shit on Facebook, but I was banned and I'm still banned for like a couple more days. I was banned for a month from posting on groups.
So, but let's
Just
talk about this.
censorship, motherfucker.
You talk about people talking about how they have alien kids and all this shit. Isn't that what religion is, right? Like back
Yeah.
then the gods had sex and you had these demigods. Again, the
Jesus.
the Nephilim and the chimeras and all this shit. It's got to do the same thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all of history and all these deities are all the same shit over and over and over again. So,
Yep. So true. If I'll shout out the Patreon a little bit because you'll catch more episodes of me and Juan doing red episodes on the Patreon, www.patreon.com/Strange Brew Podcast. We're just building members. It goes. There's like a lot of people will join and then they'll leave because people are just trying to get that content in. And obviously people are cheap right now considering the pandemic. So we get like a handful of people coming through the Patreon just to check out some of the new stuff and different things we have on there. We had the episode where Billy meets Juan for the first time and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, everyone can go to www.strangebrewpodcast.com. You'll find like we have a Strange Juan's shirt too. We have some fun merch and you can find us on that. All the shit's on there pretty much.
yeah, right on. And I'll post all those links in the description below. And
Yeah.
to wrap it up, I have this article here on CNN. It says it was updated at 4:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, July 12th, 2021. Surprising amount of death will soon occur in these U.S. regions from increased COVID-19 cases. So be ready, be prepared. Don't believe what the fuck the media tells you.
They're going
And
to say it's from COVID, but it'll be from the vaccine.
that's right. So thank you for coming on,
Heck yeah.
Tom. This was fun. And hopefully the listeners enjoyed this. And until next time.
Fuck yeah.